prerequisites are that you should know how to slide down rails to switch. And if you don't know that, maybe you should check out our beginner tutorial pack over at stompittutorials.com.
Hi, Jens at Stomp Tutorials here. Today I'm going to teach you how to backslide. I'm going to use a skateboard as a tool to practice this technique. So when you're on a rail, you only on it for like a second and then you're off it. That gives you no time to practice your balance, because it's more of a balance practicing trick than an actual technique you can just learn. It takes some practice to get good balance, simply. First thing I'd like you to have in mind is that I like to use my hips a lot in order to keep the balance. So to get the weight onto the back foot, I like to shove my hip a little bit in this direction, bending your body like a banana, and use the front foot and arms to keep the balance. That is what I used to do as a long backslide, but if I do like a 270 on or want to do some spin combination with this trick, I most often pull it straight up, since when it's straight underneath you, you will spin faster. Start standing still, just like lift up your foot while you're on the skateboard. Once you practice a little bit while standing still, find a nice little downhill part where you can do it for a little bit longer. And voila! That's nice and steady. Lift the foot, work with that hip to keep the balance. Whoa! Doing it downhill like this, it's definitely going to make it a bit more realistic, because when it's downhill you really have to lean a little bit forwards in order to keep the balance. Just lift that foot up. See how I'm working with that hip to keep the balance. So to summarize it up, start standing still, lift the foot up a little bit, feel the movement of the hip back and forth to keep the balance, then do it with a bit of speed on the flat ground, and then take a slope that's a bit downhill. Once you've done that, we're definitely ready to take this to snow. Let's check that out now.
Step 2. Backslide a short and wide flat box. We want to find one of these boxes for two reasons. One is that they're pretty comfortable to crash on your hip. Let's pretend this one is a flat box. And the second reason is the balance backwards and forwards is taken care of by the ski. So you just have to focus on keeping the balance up and downhill. Once you've done that as many times as you need, step 3 is to do it on a down feature. On a down feature, I like to lean a bit too much forwards. I just have to put that front foot down to save the slide, and I just slide out, because that's sort of nicer than taking it to the hip. The first couple of times you try this, as you approach a box or rail, I like to set off a gentle rotation that's just enough to spin 90 degrees onto the box or rail. Make sure that you stay perpendicular like 90 degrees to the rail all the way. And if you don't spin enough to do the whole 180, you can use a bit of counter rotation. I often have my hands high and wide. It's not so steezy, but it helps with balance and rotation control. So if I pull them in, I can quite easily do backslide to 270 out and that kind of thing. Generally speaking, you have to lean back more than you think, thanks to your self-preservation that makes you always tip forwards, which can also be frustrating. This is an important technique. And when you pop, pull up your legs, then push down that leg you're gonna land on, and land on with a slightly bent knee. This is super important, because if you pop too high and like fall onto your one foot, you're not gonna get that good balance, so be careful with this. Here's many common mistakes in one go. So first of all, he lands with the ski on an angle into the box, and he rotates less than 90 degrees onto the box, and he's not perpendicular to the box, so it tips over and takes a pretty nice slam to the hip. So like we talked about before, rotate gently onto the box, so you rotate a full 90 degrees on it and stay perpendicular to the box, and you'll be fine. And here, that you tip forwards with that darn chicken foot is way more common than crashing on your hip. So you gotta find a middle spot in between, too far back, too far forwards, and then just practice and practice and practice again, because it's totally worth it. This trick is so much fun, but you have to practice to find that sweet balance spot. good luck, and I hope you stomp it soon, and let me know what you want to learn next. Remember to follow us on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, that kind of stuff. And you who want to learn more, either check out our tutorial packs or camps over at stompittutorials.com.